Alexa, what's the weather like for the next 7 days?
In Roanoke for the next 7 days, Saturday, 54 degrees Fahrenheit and lots of clouds. Sunday, 40 degrees and rainy weather. Monday, 53 degrees and partly sunny weather. Tuesday, 57 degrees and lots of clouds. Wednesday, 62 degrees and cloudy skies. Thursday, 65 degrees and showers. Friday, 59 degrees and intermittent clouds. By the way, there's a winter weather advisory in effect Saturday, February 11th, 8 p.m. to Monday, February 13th, 12 a.m.
Alexa, what date is today?
It's Saturday, February 11th. By the way, you can also ask me, what happened today in history?
You're right, starting tonight at 8 p.m. Are you filming it? Starting tonight at 8 p.m. Hi. You're right, starting tonight. No.
So it doesn't look like it's going to be terribly bad. I mean, I think we're right on the line, meaning we may not get anything or we may get something. Because she said a winter advisory, which means, hey, this could happen.
It may snow, and if it does, it'll melt.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's going to be in the 50s. Yep.
Because it'll be in the 60s in a few days.
So the other little project is you wanted the lights downstairs outside to be able to work. Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
John, has I said anything that you wanted me to do? Have I said, oh, I can't do that? No, I said.
The wiring's already there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to there somewhere?
No, there's a switch down. I
don't know where the wiring is.
I do.
It probably goes, it's probably somewhere
John,
in there.
I know.
You know, okay.
It's something I can do.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
To have those two lights working.
And in the hallway there into the 2 bedrooms on that end, where I put the motion detector, and then there's a light with the little thing on it. You want a light there?
We're like a pole chain.
Okay.
Like the one that's just a light bulb on the ceiling that you turn on.
Mm-hmm.
I have one showing up in the mail.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay, good. So we'll I can do that too.
If it doesn't snow.
Yep, I can do that too.
So those lights you're talking about on the outside of the house, for people watching, what that means is in the basement down there, where's that,
Yeah.
in that basement downstairs, either side of the basement has these big white doors.
Right.
And outside of those doors on the ceiling are 2 lights.
Right.
So he's going to get those lights to work. So
Yep.
I can just,
hit a switch and the light will light outside. Yep.
Yeah.
So all of those little white blocks that we could.
Whatever fixtures are there, I don't know if I can change those.
No. I'll I'm pretty sure I can get them to work.
Wow, that'd be amazing. That's amazing.
Yep.
Oh, and you change the breaker to the circuit breaker, which was a 20 amp to a 30 amp.
Right. Did you go up and check to see if it's hot water?
I'll check it now, and if it's on, I'm going to take a bath.
Okay.
Because I haven't taken a bath for
a while.
And if I take a bath, I might look in there and get your old light to save and bring to wherever I go to a new.
No, don't worry about it. I don't need that. I don't need that.
You don't?
No.
It wasn't something special you did?
No. It's no big deal.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't throw it away. You might use it someplace else.
I'll get it before I take a shower, I think.
No, don't. Go see if the hot water works. Yeah, that's the first thing.
Okay.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. Here it is, 4 minutes and 44 seconds, and there are 4 people watching. How about some 4 thumbs up? Let's give some thumbs up and make some comments. Let's see. Good morning, Bob. Hey, Ed. Good morning, John. Hey, Ed. So What's up with you, Ed? What part of the world are you in, and what's it doing, and how you feeling, and what's going on? So I've been cooking today, cooking for John, right? Because otherwise he just sticks little Debbie's in his mouth. So I made a really nice. The weather is changing because my arthritis is acting up. My arthritis is a better, or almost as good. So this is rice, vegetable, peel-off kind of thing, right? And it is quite yummy. It is kind of doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. Carrots, potatoes, onions, cabbage. Yep. Yes. Yep. Looks good, tastes good. West Coast. And go for a barbecue. That sounds good. How's the West Coast doing? Now, let's walk outside. Sunny. Nice day. Oh. Yeah. Here's the A-frame. So this is one thing John did. This little metal, George stuck this metal steps because this was going to be another apartment, and that was the other door. And he just built this little thing and had the weight of it, being supported by those 2x4s. And Mr. Mike built this whole thing and really saved the day. So the hot water work?
Yeah, it comes out really hot.
Oh, good. There you go.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yep.
I thought that's what it was, but I just didn't know, and I didn't know enough about electric, so I wasn't going to do it.
Well, I did it, and no big deal.
I have changed a breaker before, though. I put a higher one in.
Yep. Okay, that's
So
good.
it's filling up the tub with water. Let me take it back.
Well, make sure, because is there a overflow in it?
No, there's not.
So get back to it. Don't forget about it. Otherwise, it's going to flood everything. Yep. So go get your stuff and. Anyway. So that's the schools. And he put gutters. That was another good thing he did, And now he didn't do it himself. Right? Money his parents gave him, he did it. Right? And he put this door on it. I had one of old George's doors there. Right? one of those is here, which look kind of nice, but wasn't as secure as that, or as and upstairs the roof was like Swiss cheese, and all these ceilings, the water came through, and they were all kind of crushed in, cast out. Right. And Mr. Mike put in this, the HVAC, but he didn't insulate it, so a good deal of the heat goes up into the ceiling. But, this place is special. I mean, George was so egocentric that, he did all this stuff. It's all right, I know what I'm doing. And he kind of did, but, and it worked pretty good for the first 20 years. And then the next, so he built in 60 and I bought it in 03. So that's almost 50 years, give or take. Well, go enjoy your bath.
Okay, I gotta find my camera. My phone.
You don't need your phone, John.
I wanna make a video of that. I don't know where it is.
Well, like I said, you can always take another bath, but don't let it overflow.
Alexa, where's my phone?
Colin John.
People are gonna try to act like I'm gay. I hear it. It's not in your room. Probably.
It's in the kitchen.
Oh, it's in here. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I couldn't find my tripod. I'm just gonna go. Alexa, stop.
I think your tripod is right there in the kitchen.
It is?
Yeah, it's just right there where you were eating.
No, I don't see it. I gotta go. I don't want it to run along.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
But anyway, so let's see. Sun's out, so that's good. Starting to warm up a little. And so it's about, not quite, it's 12:45 or something like that. What time is it here? Oh, it's 11:11. 11 when it happens, So it's 3 hours, so it's like 10:11 where you are, Ed, give or take. So what part of California? Northern California, Southern California, San Francisco, LA, or somewhere in between? John's? Yep. So, John did an amazing job here. Even though he paid other people to do it, he still did it. He painted his floor by himself, nobody else. And he did all the painting, right? All the carpentry and all the sheetrock and the plastering. Other people did that. He did it too, but he did it more on the, me and this kid who was living down below. We put all the sheetrock up here, and John just kind of looked at us, going, and I'm a real good taper because as an electrician, you gotta plug up the holes you do. But see, right there along that edge, John did that. The wool. Me, I just, mudded the whole ceiling and skimmed it and made it, smooth. Because there was a big, gigantic hole here from the roof leaking through the whole building. And this place had that problem from the very beginning because George, everything in this building he salvaged from other jobs. So he had this kind of the roofing It's this very strange corrugated metal that actually has holes in it, right? And he, skimmed it over with some kind of paint or something, and to fill up the holes. But within a year or two, the water was coming through, and he just didn't care. Anyway, like all the doors are from the 1890s, from buildings that were built downtown in the 1890s. Now that's a new door. There was no wall there. It was just open because it was cut up into 3 little rooms. That bathroom was 3 little rooms, and I just took it all down. And I didn't care that there was no wall there, because there was a little hallway. A hallway ended 3 little rooms, and I took all of that shit down. And Mr. Mike put that door there and put the wall there. So, And Mr. Mike was desperate for money, but he couldn't stand John. So he did all this work and until he just couldn't take it anymore. And then he left. He like moved out of Virginia. Just unbelievable. So what is that gook on? No, it's just something there. Anyway. So here we are in a time. Oh my God, it's so weird. Oh my. I mean, what's the next thing to happen? Aliens are going to land. That's the next thing. I mean, this is a setup. It's like a movie, right? The world is on the edge of nuclear war. Everyone's fighting each other. And, he's gonna, the only people who can fix it are the aliens, and they're going to show up, right? And it's kind of like if you ever watch that TV show, Stargate. One of the episodes, they went to a place where everybody was really nice, right? And they were really smart, and they were way ahead of us, in everything. And they beat the bad guys with no problem, and I took care of it. And they looked just like us, and they became our friends. And they built an infrastructure that fixed the pollution and gave us free energy and changed everything in the world. And then, years went by and everything's great and everyone's traveling all, going through the gate, going to all over these worlds, and it's like the UN. And then the girl who's the smartest of everybody, Colonel Sam, what's her name? She wants to get pregnant with her husband, and they can't. And she takes all the tests and they do all the, this and the that. And the guy, just keep trying. No, not a problem. And what she starts to look in to, it's like me, the demographics is that, the population is collapsing. But because so many people are coming from all different worlds and being on Earth, that it doesn't seem like we're being deposited, but the humans are going away. So it's what's kind of happening to us. Our demographics is like China and Russia are really in a bad way. The United States, not so much, because we're a country of immigrants, right? We let people come in, and people don't realize that. NAFTA made the United States, Canada, and Mexico one country, economically and militarily, right? Totally socially, not so much. But once, we're going to see that, our economy right now, it's like almost full employment. People are getting paid more. The inflation's not that bad. Now, when things get really bad this year, when people, China does some really nasty things. Like we have pulled the plug on China. Biden out-trumped Trump on China, because what he did was he stopped all advanced technology within the manufacturing of semiconductors. He unplugged it, right? And he told all the hundreds of thousands of American engineers that are there, hey, you want that job? Well, you're going to lose your passport. You're going to be Chinese citizen, right? You're not going to be American anymore. You want just, be American? Well, come back home. And they did. Like in 1 week, that 100,000 or 200,000 people left China. All of that cerebral power left, right? And then they passed a law. America is giving no technology or advanced integrated circuits to China, period. And anybody around the world, Vietnam, Paris, you name it, if any of them give semiconductors to China, sell them to China using American technology. And so all the big ones, there's a big company in the Netherlands, a big company in Taiwan and in South Korea. They basically, okay, we're not going to, they kind of didn't like it, but went along with it, right? And so right now we have, China is dead in the sea. Now, the thing about that is, in a way, that's a good thing, because China was addicted to our technology, right? And also addicted to us as their client state. We buy all their shit, right? Now we're bringing all that shit back home. And see, the interesting thing is, one Mexican worker is more productive than 9 Chinese workers, right? The problem is China has 1 point something billion of them, and Mexico only has 100 million of them. So they can only produce so much, even though they're 9 times more productive, right? So that's where they're going to roll the robots in to work with the Mexicans. And the supply chain is going to be right there. It's no longer going to go all the way to Asia and then over to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, and back to China to make an iPhone, right? I mean, Apple was like so arrogant and so short-sighted, because they're the last guys who left. They're still there, right? And they were, bending over for China, because, when all of this stuff broke out in China, people, demonstrating about the lockdowns. Well, the thing is, the CCP did not basically, accede to the wishes of their people. No, they couldn't care less. What they did was they knew that, the lockdown scene wasn't working, and it wasn't working for them. I mean, they didn't care if they put people into an apartment house and then welded their door closed so they couldn't get out and they starved to death or, died in a fire in a place. No, they couldn't care less, right? And the fact that people were upset about it, they didn't care less of that, right? What they wanted was, they realized that the only people who are really going to die from this are the old people. And the old people are the useless eaters in their society. So they're just they opened everything up right before the big holidays. So everyone who hasn't seen grandma and grandpa in the last 2.5 years, they all on all the place. And so super spreader situation. So they're going to lose 200 million people in the next year or two, right? And they're all going to pretty much be old. And a good chunk of them will be everybody else, right? But still, that won't help them, because they are not having new babies, period, right? Now, Russia's in the same spot, to the point where one of the major reasons why they went to Ukraine was they took 4 million women with children into Russia. In Mariupol, right? And that whole section that was getting blown up, during the summer, basically, they said to people, okay, we'll get you out of here, but you have to come to Russia and stay in Russia and become Russian, or you can die. But no, we will go west. Well, we're going to shoot you in the back if you try to do that. A friend of mine was going on and on about, how Ukraine is setting all this up, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's, the whole thing about war. There is no good guy or bad guy in war. War kills everything. And most of all that it kills is the humanity of people, right? And then it rots the society because, look at the United States. The Civil War there was right or wrong in the Civil War. It was both sides were getting played by economic forces that were not in the United States. Mr. Rothschild and the Illuminati or the Hidden Hand or what do you want to call those guys? They wanted to, knock the United States a little this way, right, and be able to take more and more power, right? They wanted to put their own central bank. I mean, the main reason why the founding fathers had the revolution was England was tired of paying the bills, and they wanted to put a English bank as the commerce. Because in the United States, up until the revolution, like virtually every town had its own script, right? And all the script was an IOU, right? So anyway, you think the last, since 9/11, things have been weird? Before that, we got Georgie Porgy and Dick, Al Gore won by the numbers, and the Supreme Court put Georgie Porgy in, right? And at that time, the Supreme Court was more liberal than what it is today, right? Now, we have a fascist right-wing, Supreme Court. I mean, it just shows that none of this matters, Who you vote in doesn't matter, There is no difference between Carrot Head and the used car salesman, So what matters is you. You are the decider. What are you going to do with your life, right? So I'm an old guy, I'm in that age. I took care of my parents for 28 years. I saw them get old. I know what the benchmarks look like. And, and that's why, when I turned 62, I basically, no, let's see, what is it? Let's see. Guess it was 06. So 06, what was I? 56, right? That was 06. I was 56. So at 56, I'd been doing all kinds of stuff. I'd been involved in all kinds of things, and not the same thing over and over again. I had so many different lives, right? And most of my, early on, I was put on the path of serving Love's Co-Creation, right? And so I did it aesthetically, technologically, politically, socially, you name it, I did it, right? And in doing that, and when you serve Love's Co-Creation, you have a great time. I had a great time in everything I did, even though a lot of, living in abandoned buildings and housing homeless people and living with homeless people who have issues, it was okay. I had a good time, Come on, guys. How about some thumbs up? Let's, I could really use some thumbs up there. Come on, let's have some. There were 4 of you, and now there's only AI here. So, but, I should remind you, do I have to, like, every 3 minutes go, hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to, and then they left. Now nobody's watching. One AI's back. It's what are you going to do, And John's off in the A-frame videotaping him in the bathtub, right? And the last time he did that was like some kind of sea creature splashing around. Anyway, what else can I say? Like I said, it's just going to get weirder, right? And so that balloon that floated over, right, us, and then the car that's driving at 45,000 feet across Alaska, these are, just elements of the soap opera, right? And, the weather balloon, that was a friggin' big weather balloon, but you should have, before we had satellites, we did the same thing to Russia, to the rest of the world. We stuck gigantic plastic, gigantic balloons. They basically were like, 20 stories tall plastic bag, maybe, a million cubic feet inside it. And I'd stick some helium in it, and then it would rise. And as it rose, the helium would expand, right? And that because it looked like a little balloon on top, and then this really long plastic bag. And then the higher it went up, the bigger the plastic bag got, right? And then, it's this thing that's like, 100,000 square cubic feet. It's a big sail now, right? And that's what the Chinese did, the same thing that we did for a good 20 years, right? And so, they had a little, thing attached to that, and those balloons that we launched could lift, about 300 kilograms, which is a lot, right? And so, and I'm sure China had the same thing, right? Now, the thing is, you can get much better resolution from a satellite than from a balloon, because it goes in the same path over and over and over again. So you can nail down the exposure, right? And everything's digital, so you see it real time. And when you have the balloon's being blown around. There's no real, you can navigate it in that that these upper atmospheric, they're like rivers, so you kind of know what path it's going to go, but it's still very catch as catch can. It's not like you can put it right on top of something, whereas this, the balloon may be 4 or 5 miles in one way or the other of where you want to really look, right? So it might get a angular shot of something or this or that, but China's doing this just to basically, it's a thematic motif, right? And they're basically getting riled up, it's the hungle in the jungle, the bungle in the bungle, and it'll be interesting. And what will happen is very similar to what is going on with Russia, right? Russia, we knew, Russia, it took 7 months to put all the tanks and guys and, supply depots right on the edge of Ukraine. They built like 20 large, military hospitals, right, for the wounded, like a MASH unit, like the TV show. And so it's, when Google Earth can show you that, the NSA and the ONI, which have way more better stuff, and they listen to everything. And they were listening to all the telecommunications. They could listen to every phone call that Putin was making, so they knew exactly what was going on. Now, the problem with China is that Xi is so insulated, he doesn't talk to anybody, When you have a totally neurotic, psychotic, guy who has to micromanage everything, it's kind of hard for that guy to micromanage 1-point-something billion people, right? So that's China's big problem, is Xi, right? Because China, if it had stuck on the path it had gone after Mao kicked off, and the 3 different guys who had been, the head guy, they all said, okay, we're no longer communists, and we are now, going into the materialism of capitalism. They were real capitalists, right? So, and people were competing and doing stuff. But before Xi was in the hierarchy, they were, 20 years after Mao, that was the most, when Tiananmen Square happened in 90, whatever that was, is when they kind of went, and they stopped being as, moving in a liberal democratic way to moving into the fascist oligarch way. And that's where they are now. Now that's, the perfect motif, the, hidden hand, Hail Hydra, is is loving it. Yeah, that's them. That's, they want to show the world, this is what you're going to be living under, kids. And so, and when you look at Roddenberry's Star Trek, he saw all of this because he worked at the Rad Lab. He had worked in the military before he was in Hollywood. What does California do? It builds secret weapons and makes movies and does propaganda. That's what Hollywood does, and grow vegetables. So Roddenberry saw all of this happening. So he basically, he quit the military-industrial complex and started writing scripts for like Gunsmoke and Wagon Train. And then Lucy came on board with her show and was so freaking popular, she could do whatever she wanted to. And she bought, and her husband, Desi, was brilliant. She was an amazing shark businesswoman, and she could, take anyone down. And Desi was a brilliant, the business of making film, right? And I mean, he was the first guy to do a show live in front of an audience. So you instead of having canned laughter, you got the real response. And he used 3 cameras, right? He didn't just, all the other TV shows were 1 camera shot, 1 shot straight on. He had 3, and then he would put it together, right? And he would do it quickly, And so that's what made the spontaneity of I Love Lucy was unbelievable. No one saw anything like that. And it was hilarious, right? And they, she and Desi wrote great storylines and scripts, and Desi shot it, and Lucy sold it, right? And they, first year, they had this idea and they wanted to do it this way. And CBS said, oh, no, we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to, and they said, no, we're going to do it this way. And if you don't let us do it the way we want to do it, we're not going to do it. We don't need to do it. We're making money, already, and, we got little kids and we'll just, be in Hollywood making movies and doing radio and, but if you want us to do this, you got to let us do it. We're going to produce it and we're going to own it. Now you can, and we will give you the first season really cheap, right? All you have to do is pay for the manufacturing of it, But you don't have to pay us. You don't have to pay the big dollar. And if it is successful, then we'll negotiate the next season, right? And so CBS, it was like an offer they couldn't refuse. So instead of, each show like Wagon Train would cost like $300,000 a show. Back in 1950s, that was a lot of money. So, I Love Lucy cost under $100,000 each of those shows, right? But, and so Lucy and Desi put together, Desilu Productions, and had that as the production company, right? And so, they found a little place. They started, they did it in a theater, actually, right? They rented a theater and brought in audiences, and they shot it with 3 cameras, and they had a production facility, and they were knocking these shows out faster, and like I said, under $100,000 a show. And CBS was making close to $10 million a show, after all the expense, they were making, because they became so popular immediately that they could charge almost anything for the advertisers. And so, that was serious. And the most profitable thing CBS ever did, right, was I Love Lucy. And so something like Twilight Zone, they made, maybe $800,000 a show. I mean, after all expenses, their profit was $800,000. I Love Lucy, $10 million, right? So, and this is in the 1950s. This is a lot of money. So next year, Lucy and Desi are saying, okay, so we own the shows, right? period, right? This year, we're going to charge you, $150,000 a show, right? And CBS, well, we made $10 million, and Lucy and Desi knew this, and we're going to re-up our contract. Not well, we want you to sign on for 5 years. No, 1 year at a time, right? So this next year, we're going to make twice as much as you are, right? And we are going to get, out of that half-hour show, it's like 8 minutes of advertisements, right? We are going to get 4 minutes. We're going to sell 4 minutes advertising on the show, and we're going to chink a little bit. Instead of having the show run 26 minutes long, it's going to run 25 minutes long, right? We're going to take a minute and then take 3 of your minutes of advertising, right? Well, they made $2 million out of that, right? But still, CBS is making, their $10 million, even with that, and paying more, right? And so, and the movie biz was not doing well because of television. It was crimping the movies, right? So Paramount went bankrupt. And Desi went in there and bought freaking Paramount. And the real estate was worth, Lucy, after they got separated, and, they kept Desilu, and they stayed partners, and they had kids, and they just, Desi was, a hot-blooded Spanish guy, and Lucy was crazy. So, they still stayed partners because they were smart enough to know we're not going to break this up. And we're still going to be friends because we still really like each other and love each other. And we have these kids, but we want to fuck other people, right? So they did that, instead of having like an open relationship. And they went on for another 8 years and made a shitload of money. All right. So they had this, production company. So you watch TV of the 50s and the 60s into the 80s, Desilu is producing close to 50% of all TV shows. So they made unbelievable amounts. And they have Paramount. So they re-energized Paramount. And they start, after NBC canceled Star Trek, and Lucy, Desilu was producing Star Trek. So they owned Star Trek. NBC did not own Star Trek. And all the shows that Desilu produced owned the show. They were like just renting it to the NBC, CBS, ABC, right? And so it's truly amazing because Desilu Productions were, it's like they saw the tea leaves. They realized that cable was going to be coming, other platforms other than the 3 networks were going to be there, and those people would need product, and they'd be because there were tons of affiliates all over America that still needed stuff that NBC or CBS, ABC wouldn't give it to them or had anything to give them, but they still had hours to fill, so they would go to Desilu and get and basically show a rerun, right? It's called in syndication, and so the 3 shows that made Desilu the most money ever was Star Trek, I Love Lucy, and the third one I forgot. But they had a top 10 of syndicated moneymakers, right? Like Petticoat Junction, and you name it, whatever's Desilu. So that's the story of that. And so why Roddenberry did this? Because he wanted to get the motif of what the New World Order was going to be like. And he wanted to put a good spin on it. Because when you really deconstruct the Federation is still a fascist entity, right? It's a nice one, but everyone on Earth is doing okay. But the Federation's having war all over the place and bumping into things, even though that don't get involved kind of rule, they still always do. So, and that's the motif we're heading at, because we're already out there. We already do dimensional travel. We already have the Stargate. We already have faster than light craft. We are all over we're mining the Oort belt. We are all over the place. On Mars, we're on Venus, you name it. We're on the moons of Jupiter. And so there you go. And, all those science fiction guys who, from, H.G. Wells on, or before H.G. Wells, what's his name? 7,000 Leagues Under the Sea, that guy. And other people before him, the Greeks, they all knew what was going on. It's not like this is, something new. So you don't have to worry about anything. And John, he's a great, I call him the canary in the coal mine, because he really represents. He worries about stuff that he doesn't have to worry about, because he doesn't want to worry or think about the things he needs to think about, And we're all like that. John's not the only guy. We're all like that, right? I'm like that, right? But, I've been very blessed to be in the right place at the right time for most of my life, and had really amazing teachers and mentors to give me the 411. And I have followed it as best as I can. I'm not perfect. I do my best, right? Which is a lot better than most people do. So 60% of the time, I'm doing my best. I'm producing it. And like all the stuff I've done around here, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. No, it's like I've been doing it for the last 70 years. So not like I don't have the experience. And what I do is, a light picture. Yes, everything around here is like why no one wants to work on this place is that everything's fucked up. And so you have to take it like that light in my little room over there. I had to take it all apart, all the way, bones all the way down. Not rip it apart, take it out of the walls, but, right? And I had to go get shrink, stuff to put around the insulation so it wouldn't short out. I had to put bushings and all the places where George just clipped the metal things. So there's a hard edge on one side. Yeah, it didn't do it for the last 60 years, but it didn't blow up. But, it shorted out. That's why that light didn't work. It shorted out to the point that, it blew out the switch, like welded it, And the other thing, the outlets, these, people should not be plugging heaters and big tools. One of the reasons that circuit blew out is that John he plugged a big tool into it, and he wouldn't tell me. I said, John, what'd you do? Well, did you plug something? Oh, no. And then, I had to get him to, tell me exactly what he did so I could fix it, right? So, and that's, people do not want to own up to. They don't realize that a mistake is a good thing. You learn from that, right? I wouldn't be as smart as I am if I wasn't a moron making all kinds of mistakes, but I'm aware of them. That's, conscious aware I am. Conscious aware I am. Conscious aware I am. Right? Hey, there's 3 of you there. How about some thumbs up? It would really help the old YouTube algorithm there. Come on, there's so many bagels. So anyway, and so the 2 mantras you should be doing at least 5 times a day, if not more, is conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, Om. And if you take a big breath, fill those lungs up as way as you can, and then say conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, Om. All the way. You do that 3 times, and then go on and do what you're doing. You'll be intent. You'll be focused on it. You'll see everything you need to do, and you'll do this, and then it's done. Perfect. You don't have to go back and fix it. Consuerum, consuerum, consuerum. Oh. And then you see what you're doing. They don't make the same mistake over and over and over and over and over, you know? I don't know how many of these things you've been watching with me showing John. He goes, "Oh, I want my most important thing is to get my kids." Well, if your kids are the most important thing too, why aren't they with you? You have to understand why. Well, they're in Texas. Well, why are they in Texas? When you got divorced, and then for at least 5 years, your wife, your ex, stayed here because your parents gave her a free house to stay in, where she didn't have to pay rent, and she didn't have to pay electric bill, and she didn't have to pay the gas or the heat or anything, and she could, mess it up as much as she wanted. It wasn't hers, right? And so, she stayed here 5 years, and what did John do? He turned into a teenager and started screwing around with this skirt and that skirt, and it pissed her off, even though she did the same thing, right? But, it's okay for her, but not for him, right? And because she wanted to control the shit out of him, right? And so that was why she glammed onto him, because she knew she could, right? And that's why she wanted to have a baby immediately, right? And that's Rowan, right? It looks just like John, right? And he's talented, and he plays the guitar, and he does art. But John has spent no real time with any of his kids for the last 7 years, right? And even when they were here, and I was here for 2 years, I used to we're going to go, he wants to do something, go to the bank or do this or do that. And I said, okay, I'll drive you. But I would take him over to that house and then, take the keys out of it. Because the first time I did that, he almost ran me over because he tried to get into the driver's seat to drive my car away. And he wants to know why I won't let him drive my car. And he's already destroyed 3 cars the way he drives, right? The way he drives up the road here. And like when I'm with him, he still does it. The last time we were in a car together, we were bouncing all, if he did that in my car would fall apart. Is he going to spend 10 grand to buy me a new car? No. So that's why he is never going to touch that car, because, he is not responsible. So he's, he can't be responsible for his kids. He can't. And so he's gone to Texas like 7, 8, 9 times, 10 times, however many. But everyone was a catastrophe. He never made any real connection with his kids. Now, his oldest boy is like 16. He's the age of majority. He could come here. But John doesn't do anything to facilitate that. So, and you see him, he needs severe, John is not mentally ill. He's neurotic, right? He's got neuroses, right? And we all do. We all have neuroses. We all have tics. We all have habits. We all have all kinds of things, right? Now, if you're conscious aware of them, you can navigate them, conscious intent. I'm not going to do this over and over and over again. I'm going to be aware of it, and I'm going to use it to move forward. Well, I've known John now. So he bought this place in 2015, right? So here it is, 2023. That's 8 years, right? 5 and 3, it's 8, right? Pretty much. Now, I did get him to stop smoking cigarettes, but, everything else, not so much. He still drinks coffee, and when he does, he goes psycho and kicks me out, right? And so anyway, that is, and that's why, John, he's my friend. I don't give up on friends, but I don't enable them either. And I'm, so he wants to sell this place, right? Well, if he wanted to sell it, it's in good enough shape, he should put it on the market right now so people come look at it. But he doesn't want people to come up. You can't sell the place if they're not going to look at it, right? So, he likes the status quo the way it is, right? So at a certain point, he can only help people who want to help themselves. And so I'm going to, I didn't need to be here. I was, before I came here, I was in 4 or 5 other places. And I could still kind of do that, and I probably still will, right? Depends on the weather, depends on a lot of things. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. I'm going to go check on dinner and maybe write some